Welcome to tonight's Homewood City Council meeting, November 18th, 2019, and hats off to our video person bringing in new photos of Thanksgiving. Thank you, Mr. Bryan, for our lead-in. We will go ahead and call tonight's meeting to order, and we're going to begin tonight with an invocation. I think we have ordered the Honorable Walter Jones to lead us in the invocation, and we'll follow that with the pledge. Please rise.
Will you bow your heads with me? Dear Lord, thank you for all the many blessings you bestow upon us as we approach Thanksgiving. We thank you for all of our blessings, the ability to come together as family and friends. We continue to pray for Anaya Blanchard and her family, and as they are still searching, we pray and put our hearts out that something good will happen. We thank you for Homewood and everything that's been blessed within Homewood, and we pray for a successful meeting. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Face the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. We'll begin with roll call. Melody?
Yes, sir. Mr. Gwaltney?
Here.
Mr. Thames? Here. Mr. Higginbotham? Here. Mr. Wolverton? Mr. McCluskey?
Here.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mrs. Smith? Here. Mr. Wyatt?
Here.
Mrs. Andress?
Here.
Mr. Harden?
Here.
And President Wright.
Here.
One absent, but you got a quorum.
Thank you. I'll begin to entertain a motion to dispense with the reading of minutes from our November 4th, 2019 meeting.
Second.
By Mr. Gwaltney, second by Ms. Andress. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, those minutes are then approved. We'll begin with some board vacancies. We've got several items to discuss today. First, we're going to begin with Ward 5 BZA nomination. As I understand, we have closed Ward 5 BZA, period is closed, and we have the incumbent who was asked to be reappointed, and that's the only candidate we have, is that correct?
Yes, sir. All
right, his name is Matt Foley, so I guess I will entertain a motion for Mr. Foley to be reappointed.
I'll make that motion.
By Ms. Andress, second by Mr. Harden. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And so, Melody, if you will let Mr. Foley know about his reappointment to another term. Next, we have the Ward 5 Arts Advisory nominations. We actually have two excellent candidates, and we have, at the same time, we only have one spot, but we have a need to expand the Arts Advisory Committee. And so we're going to take up a couple items here. First, would like to entertain a motion to change the Arts Advisory Committee to 6 members instead of 5 members, which is what we have currently. So I would like to entertain, I assume I need a motion for that first, Mike?
Oh, it's actually, there's a resolution I prepared this afternoon. It currently is 5 wards and then 2 at large, and now it'll be 3 at large.
Oh, excuse me, I misspoke. And so we have 7 going to 8.
And it's in the form of a resolution.
Okay, but that does require a motion in a second?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion or a second to change the makeup of our Arts Advisory Committee from 7 members to 8.
Second.
By Ms. Andress, second by Mr. Hickenbotham. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, and so with that, that's going to leave, that will increase the size of our Arts Committee, and that's going to add an at-large position. And so with the new at-large, the extra at-large position, we're going to have 2 vacancies, a Ward 5 Arts Advisory position vacancy and an at-large Arts Advisory vacancy. So with that, I will first entertain a motion for the Ward 5 Arts Advisory position to be filled.
I would like to nominate Claudia Pearson to be our Ward 5 representative for
All right,
the Arts Council.
So we have a nomination for Claudia Pearson to fill the Ward 5 Arts Advisory Committee position. Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, so Ms. Pearson will rise to the level of the Ward 5 Arts Committee position, and we have the at-large, and I will entertain a motion for the appointment of an at-large member.
I would like to nominate Melissa Murphy to be our at-large representative.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion by Ms. Andrus and a second by Mr. Harden for Melissa Murphy to be appointed into the new at-large position. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so Melody, if you will let Claudia and Melissa Murphy know.
Yes, sir.
They've both been approved. All right, that gets us to our last board vacancy item. Well, no, I'm sorry, we got two more. We have an at-large park board opening. Okay, this is for an at-large position, and we're going to keep this, going to open this until, for candidates until December 9th at 4:30. We'll let that expire at that time without any objection. And that will get us to our last item, which is our new Census Committee, which first we need to appoint our new Census Committee, and this is for our jurisdiction of Homewood.
It is for the entire city of Homewood. It is called the Complete Count Committee.
All right, thank you.
And it is going to be we're tasked with trying to increase Homewood's participation in the 2020 census.
All right, so first with that, we need to create this committee, so I'm going to entertain a motion to create the Homewood Complete Count Census Committee
So moved.
by Mrs. Smith,
Second.
second by Ms. Andrus. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And I know Ms. Smith and Ms. Andrus are already on that committee. Was it three of you who were on it before, or is it just the two of you?
It's just
Two
the
of
two
us.
of us.
And
Okay.
Ms.
And
Salter
a whole
helped
bunch
us.
of other really cool
Now
people.
we're going to add members.
Yes.
And so I don't know who wants to speak to that.
I have
All
my
right.
little list here on my
Mrs. Smith, why
phone,
don't you
so-
go ahead and can we add them all together at this one motion?
I think so. I don't know why not.
That'll be fine, won't it, Mike?
Yes.
Okay. All right, why don't you tell us who we're going to add to the committee?
Okay, so in addition to myself and Ms. Andrus, Ms. Salter will be joining us on the committee. Debbie Fout, the director of the Homewood Public Library. LaVonda Primus, who is on our finance staff here. Hetty Fitz, who is a park board employee. Carlos Alaman, Dr. Carlos Alaman. He is the deputy director of the Hispanic Interest Coalition of Alabama. Merrick Wilson, who is employed by our Board of Education office. Allie Phelps, who is an ESL teacher at Shades Cahaba Elementary School. Liza Spencer, that's my bad eyes. She works for Trinity United Methodist Church and she is a outreach employee there. Debbie Robertson, who is the branch manager and vice president of, what bank is it? Iberia Bank. And she is on the Homewood Rotary Club, yes, and she's going to be a member of the committee. Doug Clapp, who
Is at Sanford
is a
University.
Sanford professor. Okay. Brandon Broadhead from our Homewood Fire Department. Rachel Estes, who is a Homewood citizen and is active and employed by Canterbury Methodist Church. And Zach Isbell, who was one of our applicants for
Ward 5.
Ward 5 board member. So those are our 15 members.
Wonderful. How long will this, till the election, I guess?
Well, no, to the census, and it's
to
not
the
going to be. Basically, we're going to get together to try to come up with initiatives that we think can improve our participation, and we're going to. That committee is going to be tasked with coming up with those ideas, and then perhaps participate in some of those initiatives as well. So it will be a limited time span. It'll probably end March.
Yeah, I thought April, right?
Yeah, March or
Maybe 1st of
April.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we, with those list of members, I guess I'll entertain a motion for all of those members to be appointed. By Mr. Wyatt,
Second.
second by Ms. Andrus. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations to all those members. I will leave it to you and Jennifer to let them know. How about that?
We will communicate with them.
All right, thank you. All right, now we're going to move on to the agenda, which we do need to amend in a serious way. So So hang in there. I think we got 10 items we're adding tonight due to our committee meetings that we met just prior to tonight's meeting. First, on consent agenda, 06-1019 was a request for consideration to vacate an alley adjacent to 400 Shades Creek Parkway. Again, that's going to consent agenda. And we also have consent agenda item 01-1119, which is a request for consideration of removal of a portion of a tree that fell from a city right-of-way onto a structure at 1110 Fern Street. That's going to be added to our consent agenda tonight as well. To our old business agenda, we want to add the following items: 03-1019, which is a request for consideration for final amendments to the fiscal year 2018-2019 budgets from Mr. Burkett and Melody Salter. 36-1019, which is a request to release liens on the following properties at 1709 25th Court South, 2635 BM Montgomery Street, 2633 BM Montgomery Street, 1614 25th Terrace South. And we're going to end up with 4 resolutions seeking under that one item. Also being added to old business 06-1119, which is a request to sell a portion of the city-owned property at 431 Green Springs, coming to us from our Mayor McBrayer. Also 02-1119, which is a request for consideration to declare the following items surplus: a 2004 New Highland tractor, a computer box for transmission, a 2010 Dodge Nitro vehicle, an old pull-behind leaf machine, and some roll-off containers. That's coming to us from Berkeley Squires and the Park and Recreation and Street Departments. And again, those will be added to our old business agenda. To our committee referral agenda, we have 3 items. 27-1119, which is going to be a request, I'm sorry, we only have 2 items. 27-1119, request for consideration of firefighter cancer policy, coming to us from Robert Burgett and our finance director. We're going to refer that to our finance committee. We're also going to add to our committee referral 12-1019 for planning and development, consideration to rezone the Homewood downtown district, which is a big item coming from Planning Commission. Let me read that exactly. Consideration to rezone the Homewood downtown district from multiple zoning classifications to 3 new mixed-use categories: low-intensity district, medium-intensity district, and high-intensity district, to implement recommendations contained within the approved Heart of Homewood Downtown Master Plan. And that's coming to us from our city attorney, but it's actually coming down from Planning Commission by a vote of 3-2 with 1 abstention for a favorable recommendation. Again, that will go for further discussion to planning and development. We also have one last item, 28-1119, which is a request for consideration of an ABC retail liquor license for H&H Eats LLC, doing business as Soho Standard, located at 1830 29th Avenue South, Suite 175. And that's coming to us from our city clerk, Melody Salter. All right, so that will do it for all the items to be added to the agenda. I'll entertain a motion for approval of the revised agenda as amended. By Mr. Jones, a second by Mr. Hickenbotham. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, the agenda as amended stands approved. We'll begin first with our consent agenda, and I will entertain approval of our consent agenda, those 2 items. By Mr. Thames, second by Mr. McCluskey. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, so the consent agenda and those 2 items do stand approved. Going into old business agenda, first item 34-1019, which is a public hearing continued from November 4th for consideration of a variance to the sign ordinance at 2614 18th Street South, coming to us from Jack Kidd and Greg Cobb. And this is already This came through special issues, but I'll see if you can give us an update from special issues again.
I do have a slight update because Mr. Kidd came to our meeting tonight, just before council, and had some discussion with members of the committee and members of the council. So we'll let Mr. Cobb tell us more.
Thank you for that. And so the public hearing is continued, so the public hearing is open. And with that, Greg, I'll let you give us an update.
Yes, sir. This came to us as a request for multiple signs on the car wash itself. Car wash that has been there for many years is being refurbished and reopened, and they asked for multiple signs on that car wash. This is a shot from today. That's the entranceway into the car wash. That's just the station itself. I took photos of the whole site, everything on the site, so you know how many signs are there. This was today at about 3 o'clock, so that's as current as it gets. Those are A-frame signs. They're supposed to be standing up, but I guess the wind knocked them down. Those are freestanding signs. Then that's the back side of that's the 18th side. That's the 18th Street side of the building. The car wash is to your right. As we go around the building, I started south and walked all around. That is the north face of the building. That's back to the front of the car wash. That's the north face. That was the east face of the building right there. And I believe you go backwards, the next one will be the south face of the building. No, that's back to the north again. I don't know where it went, but it's there. There it is. No, that's back to the north again. I keep seeing that other sign. Okay. But the original request we started with was the signs actually on the car wash. I think from, Brian, I believe from the last public meeting, we had the signs that were proposed by the sign maker. Okay.
All right. I know we've had some discussion about this item in our committee. And Mr. Kidd, if you would like to speak to what some of the concessions and what you're seeking to accomplish with your signs.
Okay. My main objective is to sell some car washes. And I have to tell somebody this is a car wash because I'm on the corner, but it's difficult to see what I have to sell. And I'm not against the beautification system, but it does somewhat hide me back there. And I was trying to get a sign that says car wash to the one side of the building and then car wash toward the BP station, because people come in the BP station, buy gas, and they see car wash and they go get a car wash. And then you have people that are coming straight on through Homewood that also just see car wash because it's a needed product, but they need to know where it is. And I've tried to make the signs as simple as possible. And Mr. Thames had brought up a idea of you didn't particularly like the large frame sign that's by the car wash, and he suggested a proposal to me which is acceptable, and that's what would be acceptable. If you want me to state that, or would you like to state it?
Yes, sir.
Me state it?
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, you can go and state it.
I will, he asked me to remove the big sign because it really doesn't fit in your beautification plans and doesn't look.
That big sign being the pole sign, right?
Yes, that
thank you.
tall triangular sign.
Right.
And I said, okay, I'll do that. And then he turned around, and I didn't ask him, but he offered, he said, you'd like to put your name, Jackrabbit, because people refer to car washes or whatever and say, let's go to Jackrabbit. And I've been there 35 years, so people know that somewhat, but you have to tell them. You've got so many new people. Jackrabbit Car Wash. But I don't, on this sign doesn't show that, but Mr. Thames had suggested if I give up something, which will cost me several $1,000s to take a big sign like that down, I will take the sign down with one request that give me a little time, take in a little money, because it's going to take a few $1,000s to take the sign down. And I'd like to time that, if I could ask for it, at the end of your beautification project, I will have the sign down. And if I'll agree to that, and then Mrs. Thames said, well, in turn, we'll let you put your name on the street side over there, along, in addition to car wash, say Jackrabbit Car Wash. And it's going to be nice and clean. It's not going to be gaudy and look bad.
And
And
Brian
it's not
could,
going to be lighted either. It'll be an unlighted sign.
and that was the assumption is what you were asking for. If you'll scroll up, Brian, but I'm sorry. Yep. Let us see the bottom pictures.
All the way down.
Where it says need logo here, that was the assumption, right? You were wanting to, because I guess your man didn't have the logo at the time.
Well, the logo just shows a jackrabbit, because we've been known as Jackrabbit for 30 years. Jackrabbit Car Wash, that's all it's going to say. And it will be facing across toward where most of your cars go straight on into Homewood, across be recessed back to the car wash, but it would show Jackrabbit Car Wash with a logo there. In turn, I'll take the sign down and take that out at my expense. And then I'll take the entrance and exit out, even though it's sort of nice to say entrance and exit. Believe it or not, they'll come in the exit. And it's not.
Doesn't work very well.
Come in that way, but I don't have to have it, so I will.
Well, Mr. Kidd, I think what Greg said, and Greg, correct me if I'm wrong here, that you could have an entrance and exit sign. They would just need
Yes.
to be like
Yes,
small and on the
I can
ground.
do that.
Yeah, and then that way
I'd-
you'd still have the ability to tell people which
Right.
side was which, but it just wouldn't have to be
It's
on.
pretty
the-
obvious, but unbelievable. it
Oh, yeah,
happens,
you
know.
you can't believe what people will do.
Okay.
But that would, you could still get the signs, they just need to be small and on the ground.
Right. I just want to put a sign, clean cut, go along hopefully with your beautification and tell them what I have for sale. And we've sold a lot on that corner, and we can sell a lot more. If we can tell, now we have a car wash open, because in my opinion, I may guess wrong, but in my opinion, we need to invest some money there and put one there. So that's
the sign that we are talking about using, is it facing 18th Street or facing the
both of them.
280?
See, it comes
facing
both.
both.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, well, please, if you can.
Yeah, there's one, when you come into the service station, people come in from mine is unusual in that I have customers that come in both sides. I have one that's passing by on the road out there that says car wash, and then when they come into the station, I'm gonna take the big sign down, as Mr. Thames said, I would take that one down and take it out, and then, but I need something. So buy gas, it'll say car wash, and that's all I want to put on there.
Mr. President. Well, yes, so can Brian scroll down the other way? Sorry. The top right picture, that is the one that faces 18th Street. And that's where, correct? Yeah, but it faces 18th Street. That's where I believe he's requesting the same sign that he has on the front, which is the one where it says Jackrabbit.
Yeah, it
Okay.
just identifies.
All right, I just want to make sure everybody understood. So it would be on both sides.
Right.
Okay.
It would face the station, parking lot, and the street.
And there's nothing facing
Two
280.
different.
Nothing facing 280.
Back in front, where most places have just a front.
Could I,
One's for the traffic and others for those that are already on the premises.
could I suggest that we get the sign guy to give us some clean, clear copies of it, what that final vote is going to be, because I think I'm confused, maybe somebody else might not be, but
What it's
We need
gonna look like.
like the drawings you have, get your sign guy to give us another drawing that shows us exactly what we're talking about.
It's exactly right there, because, and the only reason I'm saying.
But you had one that you said was gonna say Jackrabbit.
No, it'll be the same, it'll say Jackrabbit with the logo, just like on the other side.
Well, just get him to give us one.
Is that, in other words, it's gonna say Jackrabbit.
We need that, though, we don't need to just say that, we need an actual picture of it.
Yeah, I think the issue is when your man gave us this, he didn't have that logo, because he scrolled out, see, it just says need logo.
I have it on that paper. The only reason I seem a little apprehensive, it's been such a long process that I'm trying to open the car wash before Thanksgiving, and I've got to get the sign painted and say, here's a car wash. Right now it says nothing. And I know I can't push it, whatever, but I'm just trying to expedite, say, there is my logo.
Hey, Greg, I think the logo is actually on the packet that Mr. Kidd has with him.
It's on his package he has with him, it just hasn't been submitted to the city. so
Yes,
that's
so
the problem.
he said he would
Here, let's-
give that to
here
us.
it is right here. It says Jackrabbit just shows,
You got more than one of these?
yes, sir.
Okay.
Or take it out, as many as you want.
No, I'm gonna get Brian to pop this one up on the screen.
Mr. Kidd, can that gas station, I know you own all that real estate. Do you actually manage that gas station, or you lease it out to a third party?
No, I do not lease it to a third party. We don't have anything that we don't manage ourselves, and say that's smart. I don't know whether it is or not, but when you throw the hat on the table, the board's met, so.
And the only reason I was asking is that there are all those other signs that go up, and I know they're, like you are, you're trying to sell stuff in there, and I just wonder if
No one,
those little signs on the,
stops with me, as old as I am, it still stops with me.
I
Till
understand.
the mortgage is paid, I still have to.
And I appreciate, I just, I think there were 4 or 5 signs in the ground, and 2 of them were down, and it just, those are
I
signs.
should be, or Mr. Cobb or someone point them out, and I'll correct it, whatever's wrong
Yeah,
there.
I think he had some pictures of all the different signs, Greg.
There must, if there's a
Greg Cobb,
consideration, I'll be happy to take
He
it back.
just show him the pictures of all the signs that were there that
Oh, the pictures of all the signs on the property.
were on your,
Okay.
on your camera. I
This is
mean,
the sign he's talking about that has a Jackrabbit logo,
there you go.
okay?
I like
And,
that better, actually.
I could eliminate the bottom that says fast, and just put the Jackrabbit with the
Okay, so
logo, people identify it, so they know I can take the bottom part off it, and it's.
Okay, so the fast and whatever, I can't even read what it says because my eyes are so bad, but, okay, so that would be on both the station side and the 18th Street side. It would have the logo and then car wash.
That's right,
Okay,
that's right. Identify the name and what you're selling.
right, okay.
All right, Ms. Andrus.
Okay, and I just wanted to just put a bow on the timing. We are at the mercy of AlDOT as far as the beautification process goes, and that could be a while. So I'm wondering if we can just ask for the pole sign to come down within, say, 6 months' time.
Could I what? I'm sorry.
Bring the pole sign down. I know you had mentioned
Yeah,
that with the
yeah,
beautification
I
project.
was just asking for a little time. but-
Yeah,
and
could we say 6 months? Is that
have it
fair?
down by midnight, to be honest with
No.
you. Have it-
Yeah, could you get started on it right now? That'd be great.
Yeah,
I'll go over there and help you. No,
That's the
but,
way Mayor Walden put the medium into the
Yeah.
place, and it was all done right here at the park.
yeah,
And we took it down on Sunday and did it.
gotcha.
So that's what you're going.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, no, and I was just clarifying that the beautification process is going to take a while. And so I'm wondering if we could just put a time limit on
6
that.
months on it. and
6 months.
That's fine.
Okay. Is
I'll
that-
have it down.
Okay.
That's acceptable? Okay.
All right, first of all, we're still in public hearing here, so let me see, does anyone else wish to speak in favor of or against this item? All right, seeing no one else, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing and turn over to council. And my first question to council, we're flying by the seat of our pants here a little bit on this issue tonight, which is okay, it's just been fluid, but is everyone know what we're voting on? I feel like I do, but I certainly, it seemed like there's a bit of a timetable to be concerned with, so, all right. Yes, Mr. Wolverton.
I guess I'm a little bit confused on the exact timeline. So Jennifer, he's saying that has to
I'm down.
Get the sign down, yes. The big sign.
Correct, I heard that part. I just thought initially he was saying that he wanted the two to coincide when he was taking it down and he was putting the new ones.
No, he wants the new ones up before
He was trying
Thanksgiving.
to get the new ones up quickly.
Correct.
I'll sign anything that say to get it down.
Because he's making us a nice offer to take the pole sign down, which we were very appreciative of.
Yeah. And that way I could open and then I will get the sign down.
All right, so understanding that, are you okay with that? You good? Okay.
I'm wondering what the mechanism is. I believe in, I just don't know what the mechanism is if we ban it and put the new signage up.
We could put it in the resolution that he's required to take it down in 6
It's
months.
just a 6-month, he's
Yeah, we got it.
required in 6 months. All right, so, Mr. Taines?
I would move to approve.
Okay. All right, hold it a second. Let's
With
make
the-
sure,
with the
approve
proper-
what?
yeah.
Okay.
I would move to approve with the proffer, the removal of the pole sign within 6 months, and allowing a logo version of his sign facing the 18th Street side. I think we probably need to approve all this with the final rendering being provided to Mr. Cobb, just so we have something to attach to the resolution. Does that sound right, Mr. Kendrick?
That's fine.
Okay. Second.
What time would, excuse me, can I ask?
All right, so if I understand the motion, remove the pole sign within 6 months, a jackrabbit sign on the 18th Street side. Is that the only sign?
No, it will also say car wash.
Okay,
No,
thank you.
along with his other requested signage, less the entrance and exits.
Gotcha, okay, thank you. All right. Everyone understand that motion? And I
Yes,
have a second
and-
by Mr. Waltney.
I was going to say, and he's going to work with
Further
Mr.
discussion?
Cobb to pull the little A-frames down, are going to all, he's going to get in compliance with the little A-frames that are around the property, correct?
And we're going,
Put that in, that's that in part of the motion?
Yeah, that's,
The small,
all right.
yes, he's
So
offered that.
we've
and
amended
he
the
said-
motion to
He said he'd
remove-
do that.
Anything on those A-frame
Yeah, he
things.
said
I just missed that part, I'll
we're
make
good.
sure I'm.
To remove the A-frames.
Right.
Mr. Waltney, you're fine with that for a second? And, thank you.
That's right.
I guess the main question, can I proceed, or what, from your motion? Can I?
Hold on just a second, hold on a second.
Wait on the vote.
Let's
Oh,
finish
I'm
here.
sorry.
All right, everyone's got all those items and have a motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. All right, so we have a 10-1. No, I'm sorry, we have 9-1.
yes,
9-1, Mr. Jones is not here. Okay. All right.
Thank you very
Did you have did you have a further question?
Yes, sir. One other, that, I just want to make it, be clear. Can I proceed with a sign fella to do what you say done? So I
Yeah, you can
get
proceed. You've been
paid
approved.
By the end of the week.
Yes, you've been approved.
You've been approved to do what we discussed.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for
And come get the car
participating.
washed.
And this is your
All right,
stuff.
thank you.
Never mind.
Yeah, tell your guy to come get the permit.
All right, next item is 371019, which is a public hearing that's continued from November 4th for consideration of a variance to the fence ordinance at 216 Broadway, coming to us from Leah Lorena and Mr. Cobb with the BEZ. And do we have any update from special issues on this?
No, we carried over the public hearing from our last meeting because the homeowner did not appear, so we didn't have any information on the project. So I believe he's here now.
All right, so this, Mr. Cobb, I tell you, let me go ahead and, this is a continuation of the public hearing. I'm sorry, I've already opened it. And so, Mr. Cobb, I'll let you update us with our continued public hearing.
Okay, my understanding, we've got a gentleman here to talk about it tonight. This is a fence along this College Avenue, I believe it is, and any fence along a city street has a setback of 9 feet behind the property line, which would make it run through the house. But their request, there was a fence there, it may still be there today, I don't know, but the request is put the new fence back where the old fence was, and I'll let this gentleman just talk to us about it.
Hey, evening, y'all. My name's Rod Dawson. My family has renovated my dad's house at 216 Broadway. We sank a boatload of money in there after
Is this what you wanna put up?
Yes, sir.
Okay, hang on.
After we had allowed a family friend live in the place for 20 years, and he didn't do such a great job with upkeep. All we really want to do is to replace a fence that's been up about 70 years. It's going to be, we would like to put up a 4-foot black aluminum fence, strictly to border the property and for safety. We understand that in the morning time and the afternoon with kids going back and forth, we just want to keep them off the property for obvious reasons. Our HVAC is on that side, on the College Avenue side, and, you know, having little cherubs, you know, tempted to fool with that. Nervous as hell, excuse me. Just don't want it.
All right, so there we got some renderings up.
Rob Dawson.
All right, so Mr. Dawson, I can't remember, it looked like in the pictures last week that maybe the fence had already been taken down. Has it not been taken down?
The section closest to the alley that borders Edgewood.
Okay.
We tore that down just so that we could get rid of the debris.
Gotcha, okay, so the
When we
side
did
is
the
still up.
renovation. Yes, ma'am.
And so Greg, this is a variance based on the setback requirement?
Yes, ma'am, it's side setback, and I've checked it, it's not a sight distance problem for any vehicles.
Okay.
Actually, because this one that he's showing here is more open, even on the alley side, it would be better than a privacy fence.
Yeah, okay.
I noticed I think you poured a parking pad or a driveway that acts from the alley to the street. Is there going to be any sort of access through this fence to that, like a gate or?
Well, in the original, in the drawing that somebody supplied to Mr. Pugh, showing that.
Okay. It's going to have a gap right there?
Right, yeah, there's landscaping right in here. We've got landscaping right here, but then the little black
Oh, I see there's
fence.
a gap in the blue fence. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Let me take this back in the back so we can throw it up on the screen.
Okey-doke.
And what is our hardship that's present here? I mean, but if he put the sign up, it would go through his.
Put the fence in
I mean, the fence.
It would literally
Sorry.
run through the middle of his house.
Right, all right.
Because it's right next,
All right.
the side of the house is right next.
I heard him say that. I
There's
just wanna
only
be-
about a 5-foot gap between the house and the sidewalk.
Gotcha, okay. All right, let me see if anyone else here to speak in favor or against this item. Seeing no one else here, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. I'm going to turn over to council for discussion and questions. Mr. McCluskey?
Yes. I guess my only question was, if I recall, of course, again, the hardship was in regards to the fact that this is a corner lot. I mean, essentially, it's a corner lot. That's why we have the issues with it. But there was also some question in regards to I believe there's a front yard fence that runs all the way, almost to Broadway, that's a white,
There was
Oh, that
some
li-
little tiny picket fence.
Yeah, that was to keep the pine straw from running out.
okay.
I mean,
Is there a way that might be able to
Go away.
go away?
Oh, sure, it's just stuck in the ground.
Yeah,
Okay.
that'd be great.
Well, it's,
Cool.
we'll condition
Done.
removing that one.
easy.
I'll do it on the way home tonight, man.
All right,
Well,
any
okay.
further questions, discussion?
I'll
Mr.
just,
Broughton?
I'll note the need for this because any parent that picks up at Edgewood knows that they're all in the alley and they're already in his backyard standing. And I noticed that the other day. I was like, whoever's renovating this house is going to be coming in for a fence because the parents are standing in his backyard basically. So it is definitely a need.
I would move to approve.
All right, have a motion by Mrs. Smith, second by Mr. McCluskey. Any further questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that is approved 10-0. Resolution 202. Thank you, Mike.
Good deal, thanks a bunch,
Thank
y'all.
you, sir.
Have a good night.
All right, next item we have is 07-10-19, which is a public hearing set for tonight for permission to remove 5 or more trees at 741 Crest Lane, coming to us from Chris Mueller and Mr. Pugh and Mr. Cobb. And this is a public hearing, so I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing. Did this come through a committee?
Special issues.
Okay. Well, let me
It
go ahead
was
and first
2
get
weeks
a
ago.
report from special issues. I don't have that here.
It was from our previous meeting, not the meeting tonight, but the previous meeting.
Okay.
Mr. Mueller has purchased a house on Crest Lane and found out that several of the trees on his property were dead or dying. imposed a threat to his house. So he has already had some trees removed, but not, he kept it under the limit that is allowed. So he still has some additional trees that do need to be removed, and that is why he is asking for the thing. So we sent it out to council pending this public hearing without recommendation.
All right, thank you, Ms. Smith. All right, with that, I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing, and Mr. Cobb, I don't know if you have any more to add. to Mrs.
No,
Smith's
what
report.
she said is correct. You're allowed to remove 4 trees. The 5th one has to come to council. He's got these pines in the front yard and all around his house. And if I understand it correctly, the idea is to remove the pines and then replace with those that are shown up there. The one in the circle is already there. That's the 2 of the X's on the 2 pines to go away, and the other 3 will be new trees to replace what he's taken down, so he will be in full compliance with our ordinance. With his minimum trees, large size trees, there'll be 4, which is what's required by the ordinance. So
so-
if y'all agree to this and the 2 pines go away, he puts in the 3 new ones and he's in compliance.
Gotcha, okay.
And so.
Mr. Mueller, I don't know if you have anything you'd like to add to that?
I do want to clarify that the trees are not dead or dying. These are pines of some variety. They're 150 feet in height, 10 to 12 tons. And when I bought the home, the neighbor just to the south of me had one come down a few years ago and basically split his house from roof down to the slab. He was not injured, but he could have been. So from my viewpoint, it's a public safety risk to either the owner of a given home or even to the neighbors that are within the tree fall of things that are of the height that these trees are. So that's the reason I want those trees out, is really to protect my home and the residents within my home as well as the neighbors. And to do that, we'll take them out, and then to comply with the tree ordinance, put the new plantings in. So.
All right, thank you, sir. Anyone else wish to speak in favor or against this item? Seeing no one, I'm going to close the public hearing and turn over to council for further discussion or questions.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Hickenbottom?
I just want to clarify, make sure I understand this. So is it a total of 6 trees that are coming down and 3 going back up? I'm trying to understand.
That's correct.
6 trees, 4 have already been taken
I knew
out,
4 were gone, but it's,
there's 2 more I want to take
okay.
out. And then because of the size of the lot and the street frontage, it requires 4 trees. There will actually be more than 4, but some of those are small. So there's a hickory tree in the back that's tall and mature and probably 24 inches diameter or larger that will remain. And then we'll plant 2 large trees in the front yard and a 3rd in the back.
So is that, I'm a little blind, is that 2 silver maples and a yellow poplar? Is that what that says?
I think so, yeah.
That's what it says. Poplar and maples, that's correct.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I had this straight in my head. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any further questions?
I would move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Ms. Smith. Second by Mr. Wyatt. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And that's going to stand approved by a vote of 10-0. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. And that's going to be Resolution 19-203. All right, next item is 12-10-19, which is a public hearing set for December 9th at 6 p.m. for consideration to rezone the Homewood Downtown District from multiple zoning classifications to 3 mixed-use categories. And again, that's going to be a public hearing heard on I guess it's going to be our next meeting, December 9th. So we're going to carry that over until then. Next item, 04-11-19, another public hearing also set for December 9th for consideration of revision to the sign ordinance. And without objection, we'll carry that over. Well, not without objection, we're going to carry it over because it's a public hearing set for December 9th on that item as well. 10-11-19, another public hearing set for December 9th, 2019 for consideration of condemning a house at 1649 28th Avenue South. And so that will be carried over to December 9th as well. 11-11-19, a public hearing set for December 9th for consideration of condemning a house at 618 Hambaugh Avenue will be carried over until then. 12-11-19, a public hearing set for December 9th for consideration of condemning a house at 1612 Berry Avenue will be a public hearing on December 9th on that. 13/11/19, another public hearing set for December 9th at 6 p.m. for consideration of condemning a house at 1117 Hardwick Lane, which will be carried over until then as well. That will bring us to 03/10/19, which is a request for consideration for final amendments to the fiscal year 2018-19 budgets, coming from Robert Burgett and Melody Salter with our Finance Department, and we will begin on this item with a report from Finance. Ms. Smith.
Yes. We met right before council, and Mr. Burgett presented us with a list of the final fiscal year 18-19 budget amendments, and we moved to approve those amendments. I made the motion, Mr. Thames seconded, and the vote was 5-0.
Thank you. Coming out of Finance with a favorable vote of 5-0. Any further questions or discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, so 3/10/19 will be approved. Resolution 19-204. Next item, 36/10/19, which is a request to release liens on the following properties: 1709 25th Court South, 2635 B&M Montgomery Street, 2633 B&M Montgomery Street, and 1614 25th Terrace South. These coming to us from our city clerk and our finance director, Mr. Burgett, and we will begin with a report from finance on this item as well.
Yes, we met and voted to approve releasing the liens on these 4 properties. I made the motion, Mr. Thames seconded, the vote was 5-0, and I believe this is going to be 4 separate resolution numbers.
All right, it will be 4 separate resolutions. Mike, do we need to vote on these separately?
Yes, sir, you do.
All right.
It's identical, so I'll just read one and then I'll just vote for that's acceptable.
Okay.
All right. The first one deals with 1709 25th Court South. Whereas the city of Homewood has been requested to release a special assessment lien at that property, and it describes a parcel ID. Whereas the owner of the property has requested the city to release the above described special assessment lien. Now therefore be it resolved by the city council at a regular meeting, duly assembled, quorum being present as follows. The city council does, by the adoption of this resolution, release the special assessment against the property described here and above and previously assessed by resolution 19-17. Resolution shall become effective immediately upon its adoption by the city council. Attached to it is a release for the mayor to sign, releasing the lien.
All right, so we can take these each up with address?
Yes, sir, this is 1709 25th Court.
1709 25th Court South. Entertain a motion for approval to release this lien. By Mr. Thames.
Second.
Second by Mr. McCluskey. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, so that lien's going to be released. And can I move on to the next address, Mike?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The next address is 2635 B.M. Montgomery. Again, it's the same special assessment lien, in this case for demolition of a piece of property. So the resolution would be to authorize the mayor to execute the release of the special assessment lien.
All right, so this will be for 2635 B&M Montgomery Street. I'll entertain a motion for approval to release this lien.
So moved.
By Mr. Harden.
Second.
Second by Ms. Smith. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, so that lien's going to be released as well. Moves us to number 3.
The next one's for 2633 B.M. Montgomery. And this is for an assessment for demolition of a piece of property by resolution 0816.
All right, so this will be for 2633 B&M Montgomery Street. I'll entertain a motion to approve the release of the lien on this property.
So moved.
By
Second.
Mr. Thames, second by Ms. Smith. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, so that's going to, lien's going to be released, 10-0 vote again. And Mike, our last one.
And that last one is deals with 1614 25th Avenue, 25th Terrace South, by resolution 99-045.
All right, so this will be for property located at 1614 25th Terrace South. Entertain a motion for approval of the release of the lien on this property. By Mr. McCluskey.
Second.
Second by Ms. Smith. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, so that last lien will be released as well under Resolution 19-208. I didn't go through those numbers, but it's 205, 206, 207, 208.
Yes, sir, we have them right.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, next item, 06-1119, which is a request to sell a portion of city-owned property at Green Springs. This item coming to us from our Mayor McBrayer, and we'll begin with a report from Finance. Ms. Smith.
Yes, met before council meeting tonight and voted 5-0 to send this out with a favorable recommendation. I made the motion and Mr. Higginbotham seconded.
All right, so that's coming out of Finance with a favorable vote. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so that's going to stand approved. Resolution 19-209. Next item, 02-1119, which is a request for consideration to declare the following items surplus: a 2004 New Holland tractor, a computer box for transmission, a 2010 Dodge Nitro vehicle, an old pull-behind leaf machines, and roll-off containers. All of these items being declared surplus out of Park and Rec and Street Departments, coming to us from Berkeley Squires. And we'll begin with a report from Finance on this item.
Yes, the committee met and voted 5-0 to recommend declaring the items that you just described surplus. Mr. Higginbotham made the motion and I seconded it.
And this is an ordinance, Mike, so I believe we're going to need a first reading on this one.
It's an ordinance to declare certain personal property of this and equipment as surplus. It's hereby established and declared that the following described personal property of the city, Parks and Recreation Department, Street and Sanitation Department is no longer needed for public or municipal purposes, therefore declared surplus. The property is described as the 2004 New Holland tractor, a computer box for transmission, 2010 Dodge Nitro, two pull-behind leaf machines, 4 pull-behind leaf machines, and 2 roll-off containers. That the mayor and city clerk be authorized and directed to dispose of the property by auction to the highest bidder.
All right, thank you, sir. So I'll entertain first a motion for unanimous consent. By Mr. McCluskey. Second by Mr. Higginbotham, and roll call vote, Melody.
Mr. Gwaltney? Yes, ma'am. Mr. Thames? Yes, ma'am. Mr. Higginbotham? Yes. Mr. Wolverton?
Yes.
Mr. McCluskey?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith? Yes. Mr. Wyatt?
Yes.
Mrs. Andrus?
Yes.
Mr. Harden?
Yes.
And Mr. Wright?
Yes. And with approval of unanimous consent, I'll now entertain a motion for approval of the item, by Mr. Wyatt, and second by Mr. McCluskey, and roll call vote, Melody.
Mr. Gwaltney?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Thames?
Yes,
Mr. Higginbotham?
Yes.
Mr. Wolverton?
Yes.
Mr. McCluskey?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt?
Yes.
Mrs. Andrus?
Yes.
Mr. Harden?
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Wright?
Yes. And so those surplus items are approved, and that's going to be under ordinance 2766.
Yes.
First ordinance. All right, that gets us to our next item, I believe. Hold on just a second here. You're correct. I have. Thank you. All right, thank you. And we will get to our committee referral agenda, which has been amended, and I'll entertain a motion for approval of our committee referral agenda as amended.
Second.
By Mr. Higginbotham, second by Ms. Andrus. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, so the committee referral agenda as amended is approved. And that finally gets us to other new business. 2011-19 request to authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with West Homewood Neighborhood Association to fund their fiscal year 2019-2020 budget appropriation, coming to us from Melody Salter and our clerk. And I don't know, Mayor or someone can speak to us about what this item entails.
I'm just going to tell you, it's one of the appropriations that we've had in our budget for the last couple of years with the West Homewood. I think it was $8,000 that was budgeted.
Okay, so it's already a budgeted
It's already
item?
budgeted. We just need you to authorize the mayor to sign the agreement with the West Homewood. Is it
Gotcha.
Neighborhood District? Is that what they call it? West Homewood
West Homewood Neighborhood Association.
Association.
Gotcha, okay. Any questions or discussion? I'll entertain a motion for approval by Mr. Hickenbotham.
Second.
Second by Mr. Wolverton. Any further questions or discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, that's going to pass 10-0 for the mayor to sign that, and that will be resolution, I lost count, Mike. 210, thank you. 19-210. Next item, 211119, which is a request to authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with the Alabama Department of Transportation for them to work in the city right-of-way for project resurfacing, planning, patching, striping, and leveling on SR State Road 149 from Columbiana Road to Wildwood Circle. Coming to us from J.J. Bischoff, our Chief of Staff, and Melody Salter, our Clerk. And is this also a budgeted item?
This one, we understand there's no funds attached. I talked to Mr. Squires and JJ. It's just to let them work in our right away.
Yeah, they're not paying for
To
Motion.
Making life better, okay. Motion for approval by Mr. McCluskey.
Second.
Second by Mr. Wolverton. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, so that will stand approved as Resolution 19-211. Next item, 221119, which is a request for consideration to set a public hearing to consider declaring the property located at 413 Poinciana Drive a public nuisance due to a violation of ordinances 1910 and 1750, excessive growth. This coming to us from Scott Cook, our code enforcement officer with the police department. And we're going to set this public hearing. Melody, how far out do we need to? Or Mike, how soon can I do this one?
You can do it at your next meeting, which is the 9th. We have lots of other meetings.
We have a ton.
Let's don't,
We have them on the 16th too.
everyone seems just overly enthused on the 9th, so let's see if we can come another. How about, what?
16th is the last one of the year.
All right, how about the 16th? Scott, that'll be fine? All right, so we'll set that for, without objection for, it seems like we definitely have objection for December 9th. So without objection, we'll do December 16th. Next item, 231119, request for consideration to set a public hearing declaring the property located at 2900 16th Place South a public nuisance due to violation of ordinances 1910 and 1750, excessive growth, also coming to us from Scott Cook, code enforcement with the police department. And without objection, I guess we'll go ahead and set this one for December 16th as well. Next item, 241119, which is a request for consideration of an ABC restaurant retail liquor license for Maria Eugenia Manzano, doing business as La Tia Paisa Taco Shop, located at 406 West Valley, Suite 104. And Melody or Patrick,
Well, I was going to ask Mr.
where are we
McCluskey.
on this one?
On this one, we actually, this one, we do already have a letter of no objection from police, but we're still waiting on fire, and on some of them, we haven't gotten any yet, so we want to see if y'all would just make a motion to when we get the proper agreements.
Absolutely, absolutely. Excuse me, Ms. Salter and President, we typically do that in this situation, so I would move to having no objection to the issuance of the license pending fire and police approval.
Second.
All right, motion by Mr. McCluskey, second by Mr. Wolverton. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, so that will stand approved. Next item, 251119, which is a request for another retail off-premises only table wine license for MBSK Enterprises, Inc., doing business as Hollywood Chevron, located at 2909 Independence Drive. Also coming to us from Melody. Where do we stand on this one?
Again, on this one, we haven't received anything at this time, but we just wanted to see if y'all would approve it pending the fire and police approvals. We won't issue it until then.
Yes, I'll move to having no objection to issuance of the license pending fire and police.
All right, motion by Mr. McCluskey, second by Mr. Wolverton. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, so that will be approved pending approval of fire and police. Next item, 261119, request for consideration of approval of vouchers for period of November 5th, 2019 through November 18th, 2019, coming from our city treasurer. And who had them this?
Walter had them, but I'm going to.
Walter had them, so Ms. Smith is going to handle the.
Yes.
The item.
I will always report out payment of bills if I don't have to actually look at them. So Walter said that he looked at everything and that it all was in good order and that he recommended that we pay the bills.
All right, so I will entertain that as a motion for approval of the bills from November 5th through November 18th. Second from Mr. Hickenbotham. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So those will be approved. Resolution 19-212.
That's right. I will tell you on the next, next one we have received the letters from police and fire on this one, so. We do? We do.
Next item, 281119, request for consideration of an ABC retail liquor license for H&H Eats LLC, doing business as Soho Standard, located 1830 29th Avenue South, coming to us from our city clerk. And I understand we have both fire and police approval on this. So entertain a motion for approval.
No objection to the issuance of the license.
By Mr. McCluskey, second by Mr. Wolverton. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, before we move on to announcements, we actually have one other item we forgot to take up, and I'm so proud of myself because I just remembered. Mr. Harden, you are no longer off the hook on committee service. You should be ashamed of yourself for not reminding me. And so...
I wouldn't have forgotten. I was going to remind you.
Our finance committee member, Ms. Andrus, is ready to relieve her duties of that. So
2 weeks is enough.
So without objection, we're going to appoint Mr. Harden to the Finance Committee on behalf of Ward 5. And we're also going to appoint Mr. Harden to our Public Works Committee on behalf of Ward 5, without objection. I don't think I need any approval, but just to make that known. Now, with that said, and congratulations, Mr. Harden, on more city service on your plate. We'll begin with announcements, and Mr. Mayor.
So Harden's been with us, what, 2 weeks? He's tore up half the water system in Hollywood, and I know responsible for at least 2 of them in Edgewood. So the rule is that since you're the newest member for the next 2 months, everything is your fault, and you can take it. So just a special thanks to the council. I've been getting some emails from employees thanking you for authorizing us to proceed with the bonuses for the employees. So just wanted to pass that along. We did some of them a little early. As an incentive, we kind of offered those that wanted to come to our wellness screenings that they could go ahead and get their bonus checks. So yeah, I thank Melody and Robert for that. And I would just say that I'm thankful for getting to serve with a group of people like you. Thankful that we live in a city that truly has been blessed, continues to be blessed, and with that, I just say Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And we'll begin, Mr. Gwaltney.
I will set Public Works for 5:30.
That's on December 2nd.
Nope, nothing on the 25th?
We're not going to have a meeting for 25th.
No, because we don't have another meeting until the 9th, so you have the 12th.
Yeah, but we missed the 11th, though.
Yeah, we got the 2nd and the 9th and the 16th, and then we'll probably go to the 30th.
Okay.
Because We'll talk about that last council meeting, but,
These are for 12/2, correct?
Okay.
I'm sorry?
What he setting the nights for 12/2, correct? December 2nd?
Yes, yes. All right, so it's 5:30, December 2nd.
Yep, and I'll set it for 15 minutes. We have that RFI for parking solutions, and then also the underground ones. Besides that, Brent and I had a good board meeting on Thursday. Pretty good attendance, good questions. We got to use TV technology to show some of the things that have been going on, the landscaping contracts, detailed some of the budget, things that have gone on. So it was a good experience. Good to see our neighbors. That's it.
Great, thank you, Mr. Gwaltney. Mr. Thames?
I will set P and D for, you said 15 minutes? 5:45. Set it for 45 minutes.
You got a lot of the condemnations, remember, that we, from the last time, too? You're gonna be on there.
That we're going to have to address, aren't we?
Because you,
Sure you don't want to go last?
because they're the public hearing.
I am willing to do that because it, okay, so.
I think there's like 3 or 4.
You want to just try an hour, or?
Just,
Barry, this is a test of how much he likes you.
Mine's not going to be very long.
it's not a condemnation I'm worried about, something else. Okay, we can go last, so I'll just hang on to setting the time. Actually, you know what? No, I'm going to set it for an hour. That way, we have a stopping point.
All right, 5:45 to 6:45 for P and D.
Yep, and I would just encourage all the council people to do their best to review the proposed rezoning. It's not a long document by design, but it would be good to be well versed in it. There was clearly some confusion the other night that we're going to hope to clear up between now and then more so at the committee level. So, just take a little time, sit down, read over it. If you have any questions, feel free to email Lindsay at the RPC, Susan, our consultant, me, Andy, Jennifer. We've all been pretty heavily involved, and so we can get those cleared up ahead of time.
Wonderful, thank you. Mr. Hickenbotham?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not going to talk about our town hall meeting. I'll let Mr. Wolverton handle that part. But I did want to thank the Homewood Library Foundation for inviting us out to the reception they had last week. It was a really good event. Just celebrating some of the great things that are happening with the library, including the expansion that's coming up, and it's just exciting times. And Debbie and her staff do a fantastic job. The foundation does a great job. And kudos in particular, I'll call out my former colleague on the library board, Paul Duran, who was who was really the architect of that foundation while he was when we served on the board together. And he's put in a lot of hours here. And so just praises for the library and the foundation all the way around. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Wolverton?
So as Mike alluded to, we are going to have our quarterly Ward 2 meeting at Raleigh Avenue Baptist Church. I know Mike had mentioned that there was a kind of a later last minute band meeting. Is that correct?
There's a Thursday night band meeting now for anyone whose kids are going to Disney, but they didn't announce that until we'd already set our date.
So potentially we might move the time up to 6, but it'll be posted. It'll be posted online. Then other than that, happy Thanksgiving. I hope everybody enjoys it. Enjoys the time with family. And if you could, please pray for my grandfather, Robert. My grandmother did pass away Saturday. But they were able to be together, and he was holding her hand, and she was in bed, and it was about as good as it could be. So, so.
Thank you, Mr. Wolverton. Mr. McCluskey?
Yes, I'm sorry to hear that, Mr. Wolverton. I will set public safety for 6:45. Mr. Thames, and I'll only need probably 15 minutes, so we can do that. I want to, a couple of things. I appreciate Dr. Jones for including Anaya Blanchard and family in the invocation. I want to thank all of our citizens, churches, and businesses who have volunteered over the past several weeks in the search for Anaya, whether it's making bows, traveling to Auburn, leading vigils, things like that. I wanted to take a second to read a post that I read today that to me, it defines the quality of the city, the citizens, and the businesses that we have here in Homewood. This is from a business that is actually located in Mississippi. It says, "I've followed this unfortunate situation from the start. I had to travel through Homewood for business, and as I approached the Homewood exit, I got chills, knowing this is where she is from. I had to stop and say a prayer for the city, in the city, and the love and respect for Anaya and her family is everywhere I turn. So many blue ribbons representing from cars to poles to mailboxes to business doors and residential doors, just to name a few. Thank you, Homewood, Alabama, for being the perfect example of love and support for your citizens. Thank you for showing America what unity looks like. Thank you for being what I view as the perfect family city. This Mississippian will always support Homewood and to the rest of the world." So just to know what we've all done and what our citizens have done and our businesses have done means a lot to everybody, and of course, most of all to Anaya and her family. So just be aware of that. And I will close with saying, Jennifer, you really wanted to stay on special issues? Seriously? That's just.
That's true. That.
You really don't like finance.
Yeah, exactly. Given the way things went a couple of weeks ago at the last special issues meeting.
Thank you, Mr. McCluskey. All right, Ms. Smith.
So first I'll set finance for Walter, although I don't really need to because it's 5 o'clock always. And then I'll set special issues for 7, and I think I'll only need 15 minutes anyway, although I can go as long as I want if I want to. And tomorrow night, the Homewood Historic Preservation Commission is sponsoring another one of their forums. That is at the Public Library in room 102, which I believe is one of the rooms downstairs, at 6:30 to 7:30. The speaker is Linda Nelson, who works for the Jefferson County Historical Commission, and she is going to be doing a presentation on the historical markers for people who are interested in getting those for their homes. I believe Mike made a poster for it that included the marker that he had on his house in Southside. So for people who are interested in that, I think it should be a pretty interesting. I'm going to go just to find out all about it. And then I appreciate Patrick reading out that email because I'm wearing blue tonight for Anaya because today people were trying to get everyone to wear blue for her. And the bows are everywhere. They're on our Christmas trees and all the Christmas trees in Edgewood and West Homewood and down here on the curve. So it's just beautiful to see those bows everywhere you drive, and it really has meant a lot to her family to see them and to know that everybody is behind them. And Texas EquiSearch is back and on the ground again tomorrow, so hopefully that will turn up something.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Mr. Wyatt.
So we got the insurance bids today, or the proposals rather. So those of you on the insurance committee, if you want to see those, they're in Melody's office. I have taken a look at them. I know we are going to do interviews, and since I really wasn't thinking about this until now, but since Thanksgiving week is next week, anyone got a problem with me trying to find a day that following week of December 2nd? Is that okay, generally? Okay, then we'll work on that for this week, and we can talk in the interim about. Yeah, we can talk in the interim about how we're going to schedule those and who's going to come to them. But just wanted to give you a heads up about that week. Secondly, the Chamber of Commerce will have the annual holiday parade on December 5th at 6:30, and the mayor will light the star. So everyone plan on that. And lastly, everyone just have a good Thanksgiving.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Andrus?
I wanted to congratulate Homewood High School cross country, girls and boys, state champions, girls 2 years in a row, boys 8 years in a row. It's crazy. And they've done 28 total team championships between the cross country and indoor and outdoor track and field. And in the same week, Coach Josh Donaldson was named Homewood Teacher of the Year. So Josh had a big time last couple weeks. So we're really excited for those kids and those coaches. We've got our counselor roundtable tomorrow. So if anyone wants to join us, we'll be at Mountain Brook City Hall. And then our recycling tip for this week, thank you, Counselor Gwaltney, for your graphics, is when in doubt, throw it out. Stop wish cycling. Just let it go. It's okay. You don't have to have a guilt trip over not putting it in the recycling bin. If it's not meant to be recycled, toss it. But anyway, we have reached 34,000 people. The first week's post reached 20,000 people, and the next, or posts plural, and then the next week's posts another 14,000. I'm not saying they're the same people. They could be the same people, but let's just go with 34,000. So we're really reaching a lot of people. And then I want to thank Randy for putting the bows on the trees. Berkeley, we had a beautiful ceremony on the Lakeshore Trail with Peter Quinn's mom, you know, the runner that was killed on Lakeshore. We had a beautiful ceremony from the folks from Dawson Church. Really lovely dedication, and Berkeley just did such a great job with that bench. Mike, thank you for everything you've done last week with everything with our zoning changes, and also just anyway, I know you've really been all in on that. We really do appreciate that. And JJ, thanks for everything you did about all the water that's been not flowing through my part of the town. And that's it.
Thank you. And Mr. Harden, welcome again.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Grateful to be here, very much so. And I really appreciate all the city councilors who clearly love the city and are doing the best they can for the city. So we have a good Thanksgiving. Thank you guys for working so hard for our city. I didn't think it worked so hard for the city, but y'all clearly did. And I'm grateful for my ward mate because, you know, she is so on top of things. This water thing this morning, I turned my water on to take a shower about 6:15 in the morning. There's no water. I'm thinking, prepare bill. And it's putting thing on my door. And you know, I knew we were having over the weekend the stuff at Lakeshore 30 on Shirley. But anyway, thank goodness for the YMCA down in Chase. So, but anyway, I appreciate it. I don't have much to add other than that I'm just grateful to be here.
Thank you, Mr. Harden. Mr. Wolverton.
I think I overlooked one big thing last week. The West Homewood Neighborhood Association, Cub Scout 386, provided hot chocolate and a lighting ceremony for the tree. I know I had thanked the beautification board last time, but it was pretty special to have a cool little community gathering, and the kids led the countdown to the tree being lit up. So it was really neat to kind of have a new tradition that's starting around town, and so thank you guys for the new tree.
Thank you, sir, and I do agree. I've noticed, so we sort of have, we have our West Homewood tree, we have our Edgewood tree, and we have our downtown tree. So all nice little things. A couple things I'm just going to add. I just wanted to take a moment and commend our planning commission for enduring what is certain, and it'll be coming our way now, but enduring a very tough public hearing in last week, and Mr. Thames being a member of that commission as well. And I know they're glad to be rid of that, but nonetheless, that was a lengthy, and those are difficult issues, and this is a difficult issue, and this is something that, in regard to rezone, that we're all here to make Homewood better. That's what we're doing. We're trying to make Homewood better. We don't want to make Homewood worse. We want to make Homewood better, and those are wonderful, simple, noble goals, and look forward to that issue, relatively speaking, coming to us in a couple weeks here. Also, I just want to make a comment about our football team wrapped up their season a couple weeks ago, did make the playoffs, and I just wanted to commend them. We did make the playoffs. I know we're used to having a dominant team in so many fashions, but they were a solid team. They did make the playoffs, and congratulations to those seniors and to the the football coaches and the staff with that program. And also, that reminds me of our band will be taking off on this Thanksgiving to Orlando, and so I certainly want to wish them safe travels and Godspeed as they travel by bus down to Orlando and back. And unfortunately, they're not going to be performing on national television like we've all been so spoiled to, but I do wish them the best trip. And with that, I think we are, well, Mr. Harden.
I just want to make it clear, we did make the playoffs.
Yes.
We did one game in the playoffs.
They lost in the first round.
No, I did say we made the playoffs.
You said did.
No, I'm sorry. We did make the playoffs, but we're so used to, advancing, 3 or 4 wins. And I know those kids, although that was a tough game the first round, but thank you for that. And with that quasi-correction, we'll go ahead and conclude tonight's meeting. Thank y'all.
For what it's worth, I wrote down the same thing. I said that you said we didn't make playoffs.